Okay, so what we are going to do today is learn how to find a journal paper and learn how to cite it using Biology 107 standards. So first we're going to start at a website called PubMed. So PubMed is basically an online library that tells you where to find all sorts of scientific papers related to biological sciences and medical sciences and nutritional sciences and things like that. So let's go take a look at that. So PubMed is part of the National Library of Medicine. If you go there, you can see it has all these types of resources. On the left, you can see there's different software and databases to look at DNA or RNA sequences and things like that. Over on the right, you can see there's a bunch of other resources, and we're going to click on PubMed. So here's PubMed. Like I said, this is basically a very um, good search engine for biology and life sciences, and it's going to find you all sorts of peer-reviewed work. According to this, there's 38 million citations in the biomedical literature. So let's take a look. We're going to look for something to do with membranes. What you're going to do is look for a journal paper related to Lab 3, which is related to beet membranes. We'll try something else. We'll try cucumber maybe. And maybe I'll throw in one more search term. I'll throw in temperature because that has something to do with our experiment. So let's see what that pulls up. I'm going to click search, and here we go. So if you take a look, it came up with 105 results. So before I go any further, I just want to show you something. If you go over here on the left, and if I click free full text, you probably want to click that unless you want to pay for something. This gives me all of the articles that are free to access on the internet. You can see it narrowed my results to 42. So let's take a look. You can see it's giving me a bunch of papers here. These are all peer-reviewed journal papers. Let's take a look at this first one. You can see a lot of information is here in the citation. For example, this first thing here is the title. The next line is the authors. I've got the journal name, plants, basil, and so on. And I'll take a better look at this. Let's just click on it and take a better look. So if I click on this, you can see it has all that information again. You can see up at the top, plants, basil, that's the name of the journal. If I click on this, sometimes it gives me a little bit more information. The year was published was 2023. Doesn't matter about the date like June. The volume number is this number here, which is 12. The page number is 2243. And there is the DOI for this thing. I'll come back to that in a second. Next is the title. You can see next is the author name. So the first author, his last name is Ma, and his first name is Cheo or something like that. Down below is the abstract, and this is basically a summary of the paper. So if you're looking for a little bit of information about the paper, you can read the abstract. So the DOI, in case you're not familiar with, is the Digital Object Identifier. I'll just show you the Wikipedia entry on DOI. You can see a DOI. This was a system that came out apparently 27 years ago, and was something that came out when the internet was a little bit younger, and people were trying to figure out how to index digital information. And so they came up with this DOI system, which is what is used to index most journal papers nowadays. So it is an important part of this citation. So if we take a look at this, here's the paper, and I'll show you something really quick here before I move on. If you look over here on the right-hand side, you can see it says here Cite. So I can click on this. This gives me a citation. You can see I can click on the different format, MLA or APA and so on. I usually go with the APA one. And what this does is it gives me all the citation information that I need. Now, it is not formatted correctly for Biology 107, but it does have all the correct information, so it's a good place to start. So I can hit copy and paste that to my Word document before I proceed with the lab report. So I want to show you something else. I can click on the link to the paper. You can see over here on the right, it says full text open access, free full text. So you can click on either one of these links. I'll click on this one here and see what it brings up. And if you take a look, here is the paper in its full text form. So this is just a way you can read it on the web browser. But what I would like you to do for your report is download the PDF. So you can see over here on the right, sometimes it's on the top left, depends on the website. You can click that and download the PDF. So here it comes, and it should be, maybe it's in my, there we go, found it there. There's the paper. So this is what it would look like formatted in the actual journal, and you're going to download this and submit this with your report. So there it is. If you take a look at the PDF, it has all the same information. The title here, we've got the author names, and so on. Some of the other information is usually found sometimes down here on the side or sometimes down at the bottom. You can see the journal name and the DOI and the year and all those kind of things. I'll show you another example, a little bit more specific, and we'll go through how to cite this for Biology 107. Okay, so here's another paper found on PubMed. This one is something that I published a number of years ago. I'll show you all the information one more time. There's the title, there's the authors. You can see last name followed by initials, the journal name, Journal of Bacteriology, the year, the volume, the page numbers, and the DOI. Notice I don't care about the month or the EPUB date. Those things are not important. Here's the front page of the journal paper, and all that information is there. The journal name, the year, the pages, the DOI, the volume, the title, the author names. You can see it's giving me more information, first full names, where they were working at the time. That's not important. There's the abstract, of course, as well. That gives me a little information about the actual paper. So let's talk about citations. So a citation is basically a reference to a work in the body of your essay or your report or whatever. So usually it's at the end of the sentence where you have referred to that thing. So in Biology 107, what we're going to do is put it at the end of that sentence, and it's going to be in round brackets, and it basically includes the last names of the authors followed by the year. For the paper I showed you, here's the example. There's the sentence, and you can see that the authors are Legary and Clark, comma, published in 2008. So notice the period is at the end of that to show that that belongs with the actual sentence. So generally, depending on how many authors you have, the format might look a little different. If you have one author, it's going to look something like this, just the last name and the year. So you can see the example is Smith 2022. Two authors, you're going to list both names, so last name 1 and last name 2, comma, year. So here's an example, Campbell and Lee, comma, 2021. If you have 3 or more authors, we use this thing et al. So we give the first author's last name and et al, comma, year. So what is et al? Et al is actually Latin, and it's et alia is the full word. So et al is a short form, and it means and others. Notice in Biology 107 that that is found in italics. So here's an example, Jones et al., comma, 2019. Make sure you get all the punctuation, italics, all those things are important for Biology 107. So once you have your references cited in the report, you still need to give the full bibliographical information in the works cited or literature cited section. You could also title it the references section. So journals are listed something like this. So last name, initials, and so on. And the word and before the last name, the year, the title of the paper in sentence form. So in sentence form basically means that the first letter is capitalized, everything is small letters unless it's a proper noun. The journal name is in italics, followed by the volume number, colon, the pages, and then the DOI. So the example that I gave you looks something like this. So there we go, Legary, comma, BA, and Clark, comma, AJ, 2008, interaction of penicillin binding protein 2 with soluble lytic transglycosylase B1 in Pseudomonas aeruginosa. Notice Pseudomonas aeruginosa is in italics because it's a species name, and that is the proper way to do a species name. Journal of Bacteriology, that can be full or abbreviated, and make sure you have proper punctuation followed by the volume number and then the page numbers and the DOI. Every detail of punctuation is important. Make sure that you take a look at the examples in the lab manual and the examples in this video. I hope you found this video helpful. If you have any questions, do ask me in class.